Physiographic divisions of Tamil Nadu. Under this topic, next we are going to see about the drainage. First, we have to understand what is meant by the word drainage in geography. We all know that rivers are absolutely important in our day-to-day life. These rivers carry water and nutrients along with them as they flow. All the rivers in India form a river system which is known as the drainage system of India. Rivers and river system together form the drainage system of India. Here we are going to see about the drainage system of Tamil Nadu. That is about the complete journey of the river. That is from where they originate, where do they flow, what are its tributaries and distributaries, and about its formation of delta, and finally where do they end. So in this topic we are going to study about the complete journey of the river. First, we have to understand some basic concepts which are used in the river system. First, we have to know about what is meant by a tributary. When a number of smaller rivers join the main river, we call those as tributaries. In the picture in zone 1, you can see many smaller rivers join the main river. Therefore, these smaller rivers are called as the tributaries of the main river. For example, river Yamuna is a tributary of river Ganga, which means river Ganga is the main river and the smaller river Yamuna joins with river Ganga. Therefore, river Yamuna is called as the tributary of river Ganga. Next, we will see what is meant by a distributary. In zone 3 of the picture, you can see an example of distributary. That is, the main river breaks up into smaller streams or rivers called as distributaries. Next, we will see what is meant by a delta. A river delta is a landform that forms at the mouth of a river. So, this river delta is found at the mouth of the river. The mouth of a river means it is a place where the river flows into an ocean. So, on the river கடல்ல கலக்கிற அந்த இடத்த தான் நம்ம வந்து mouth of the river சொல்றோம். In this delta region, the river deposits all its sediments which they carry along, and it forms a typical triangular shape. Hence, it is named as a delta. This delta region is very fertile and helps in cultivation. Rivers and river system together forms the drainage system. We will start with the drainage system of Tamil Nadu. Since the study about the river system is an important topic, I would like to explain the topic line by line to you. So students, you also keep the book by your side. Move to page 91. That is the physical map of Tamil Nadu. Follow the class. Identify the rivers and places in your map so that you can understand the lesson better. Coming to the lesson, rivers of Tamil Nadu are its lifeline. So rivers are absolutely important in our day-to-day life. Though there are many rivers in Tamil Nadu, some of the famous rivers are Kaveri, Palar, Ponnayar, Vaigai and Tamarabarni. Most of the rivers of Tamil Nadu originate in the Western Ghats. As already we have seen this while we studied about the Western Ghats, most of the rivers originate in the Western Ghats and they flow towards east and finally they drain in Bay of Bengal. All the rivers of the state are non-perennial except Tamarabarni. Here non-perennial means the rivers are periodic in nature and do not flow throughout the year. So all the rivers are non-perennial, but river Tamarabarni is perennial because it receives rain in both the southwest and northeast monsoon season. So therefore it is a permanent river that flows throughout the year. Students, open the physical map of Tamil Nadu in your book. First we will see about the river Kaveri. The river Kaveri originates at Talakaveri in the Brahmagiri hills of Kudagu district of Karnataka in the Western Ghats. That is, the river Kaveri originates in the Western Ghats. As we already know, most of the rivers of Tamil Nadu originates in the Western Ghats. Here, the river Kaveri also originates in the Western Ghats in Karnataka state in a place called Talakaveri, which is in Brahmagiri hills of Kudagu district. Kudagu district is also called as Coorg district in English. About 416 km of its course falls in Tamil Nadu. That is, river Kaveri flows for about 416 km in the state of Karnataka and then it falls in Tamil Nadu. In Tamil Nadu, it serves as the boundary between Karnataka and Tamil Nadu for a distance of 64 km. So in the boundary region, which is highlighted in yellow color, in the boundary of the state Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, in this region, it travels for 64 km. It forms Hokanekal waterfalls in Dharmaburi district. Hokanekal waterfalls, you would be familiar with this waterfalls, which is in Dharmaburi district. It is formed by river Kaveri. A Mettur dam, also called as Stanley Reservoir, is located across this river in Salem district. So across this river Kaveri, a dam is built for the purpose of storing water, which is in Salem district. So dam and reservoir means a place where the water is stored. Mettur dam is also called as Stanley Reservoir. A tributary called Bhavani joins Kaveri on the right bank about 45 km from the Mettur Reservoir. So from Mettur Dam at about 45 km, a tributary called Bhavani joins the Kaveri. As we have already seen what is meant by a tributary, it is a smaller river which joins the main river. Here the main river is Kaveri and its tributary is river Bhavani. Thereafter it takes easterly course to enter into the plains of Tamil Nadu, which means the river Kaveri along with its tributary, it takes a easterly turn. It turns towards east to enter into the plains of Tamil Nadu. You already know what is a plain. ஒரு சமவெளியை தான் நம்ம பிளெயின்னு சொல்கிறோம். In this place, after it enters into the plain, two more tributaries called as Noyal and Amaravati confluence the river on the right bank of Tirumukkudal, 10 km from Karur. They also join the main river, that is River Kaveri, on the right side of Tirumukkudal, in a place called Tirumukkudal, which is 10 km from Karur. In this place, the river is wider. The river becomes wider. Already it is a plain surface, and along with its tributaries, the river becomes wider, and therefore it is called as Agandra Kaveri in this region. In Tiruchirappalli district, the river Kaveri branches into two parts. That is, it splits into two parts. The northern branch is called as Kolarun or Kollidam in Tamil, and the southern branch remains Kaveri. The northern part of the river is called as Kollidam or Kolarun, and the southern branch retains the name as Kaveri. From here the Kaveri Delta begins. So from the place where it splits, from that region the Kaveri Delta begins. After flowing for about 16 km, the two branches join again to form the Srirangam Island. So after the split, it flows for 16 kilometers, and after 16 kilometers it again joins, that is, the Kollidam and Kaveri joins, forming an island called as Srirangam Island. So island is a place which is surrounded by water on all sides. So therefore this Kaveri river after the split forms an island called as the Srirangam Island. The Grand Anicut, also called as Kallanai, was built across the river Kaveri. So again a dam is built across the river Kaveri called as Kallanai. Already in Salem district, Mettur Dam was built across this river. Here in Tiruchirappalli district, Kallanai is built across this river for the purpose of storing water. After Kallanai, the river breaks into a large number of distributaries. We have also seen what is meant by distributaries. The main river is split into a number of smaller streams or rivers called as distributaries, and these distributaries forms a network all over the delta. So even though they are split, they are interconnected all over the delta. Here the delta region is highlighted in yellow color, which is roughly triangular in shape, and there you can find the distributaries of the river Kaveri. The network of distributaries within the delta of Kaveri in the coast is called as the Garden of Southern India. Even though the river is split, but they are interconnected within the delta. This region is very fertile and helps in cultivation. So this region is called as the Garden of Southern India. It merges into Bay of Bengal to the south of Cuddalore. Finally, the river ends in Bay of Bengal, that is to the south of Cuddalore. Paragraph questions. You can answer the second question. Write an account on river Kaveri. And coming to the answer the following questions briefly. You can answer the fifth question. Name the major islands of Tamil Nadu. In page number 92 of your book, you can find the answer for this question. Pamban, Hare, Krusadai, Nalathani Tivu, Pullivasal, Srirangam, Upputani, Island Grounds, Kattupulli Island, Kubal Island, and Vivekananda Rock Memorial are the major islands of Tamil Nadu. In the physical map of Tamil Nadu, you can locate these islands in the southeast coastal region. Next, we will see about the river Palar. The river Palar rises beyond Talagavara village in the Kolar district of Karnataka. This river also rises in the Karnataka state in Kolar district. The Palar river drains an area of 17,871 square kilometer. That is, this river covers an area of 17,871 kilometer and it deposits its sediments in this area. Out of the total area covered, about 57% lies in Tamil Nadu and the remaining 43% lies in the state of Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh. Ponnai, Gaundinya Nadi, Malatar, Cheyyar and Kiliyar are its major tributaries. So these are the smaller rivers called as the tributaries and they join the main river Palar. In total length, that is the total distance covered by the river Palar is 348 km, out of which 222 km of its course falls in Tamil Nadu. You can easily find it out from the map. The river Palar originates in Karnataka state and then it travels for some distance and then it enters into the state of Andhra Pradesh. There it flows through a short distance and then it enters the Tamil Nadu state. In Tamil Nadu, it travels the maximum distance. That is, it covers about 222 kilometers in Tamil Nadu. And then in Tamil Nadu, it flows through the districts of Vellore and Kanchipuram. And finally, it enters Bay of Bengal near a place called Kovattur. Next, we will see about Tenpeniyar or Tenponiyar river. This river originates from the eastern slope of Nandidurga hills in eastern Karnataka. So this river also originates in the Karnataka state in the eastern slope of Nandidurga hills. Tenpeniyar river drains an area of 16,019 square kilometer, of which nearly 77% lies in Tamil Nadu. That is, this river covers an area of 16,019 square kilometer totally and it drains its sediments in this region. Out of the total area covered, about 77% of the area lies in Tamil Nadu. Even though most of the rivers originate from the Karnataka state, these rivers flow through and covers a maximum percentage of area in Tamil Nadu and finally they drain into Bay of Bengal. The Tenpeniyar river flows for a distance of 247 km in the southeasterly direction in the districts of Krishnagiri, Dharmapuri, Vellore, Tiruvannamalai, Kadalur and Viluppuram. That is, this river traveled for about 247 km in southeasterly direction. In southeast direction, covering the districts of Krishnagiri, Dharmapuri, Vellore, Tiruvannamalai, Kadalur and Viluppuram. It branches into two, namely Gedilam and Ponnayar, near Tirkoilur Anikat. So, near the place Tirkoilur Anikat, the Tenpenayar river splits into two, namely Gedilam and Ponnayar. The Gedilam river joins the Bay of Bengal near Kadalur, and Ponnayar river joins the Bay of Bengal near the Union Territory of Puducherry. You would be familiar with these rivers. The Gedilam river is found in Kadalur, and Ponnayar river you can find on the way to Kadalur from Pondicherry. These two rivers finally end at Bay of Bengal. Chinnar, Markanda Nadi, Vanniyar, Pambar are its tributaries. So these are the smaller rivers which join the main river. So they are called as the tributaries. Heavy rainfall in the river source cause sudden but short-lived floods. So whenever there is a heavy rainfall in this region, it causes sudden floods, but it lasts only for a short period of time. The river is extensively dammed for irrigation, especially in Tamil Nadu. That is, this river acts as a major source for irrigation, especially in Tamil Nadu state. There are reservoirs at Krishnagiri and Sathanur across this river. In order to store water, dams or reservoirs are built across this river in Krishnagiri and Sathanur. The Ponnayar is considered sacred by Hindus, and festivals are held during the Tamil month of Thai. So the Hindus worship the river Ponnayar as God. We already know Hindus worship rivers as God. Likewise, in this region also, Hindus worship the Ponnayar river as their god, and festivals are also held during the Tamil month of Thai. That is, during the Pongal season, you would have heard about this festival, Aatra Thiruvizha. It happens in the month of Tamil month of Thai, that is in January or February. Next we will see about the Vaigai river. Vaigai river rises from the eastern slopes of the Varsanadu hills of Western Ghats of Tamil Nadu. We already know the Varsanadu hills are present in the Western Ghats. In the physical map of Tamil Nadu in your book, you can find the Varsanadu hills in Western Ghats. These Varsanadu hills are present in the Theni district. So in this political map here, you can find the Vaigai river originates from the Varsanadu hills of the Theni district. It passes through the districts of Madurai, Sivagangai and Ramanathapuram. So on the river flow அப்படியே வந்து follow பண்ணிட்டு வந்தீங்கன்னா, you can see the districts it covers. That is, it originates from the Theni districts and passes through Madurai, Sivagangai and Ramanathapuram districts. It drains an area of 7,741 square kilometer, which lies entirely in the state of Tamil Nadu. So it covers an area of 7,741 square kilometer, and it deposits all its sediments in this area, which lies entirely in the state of Tamil Nadu. The total length covered by this river is 258 kilometers. That is, it travels for about 258 kilometers. It discharges its water into the Ramanath Big Tank. Ramnath is the short form of Ramanathapuram district. In that district, it discharges its water in the big tank. In Tamil it is called as Periya Kanmai. And also it fills other small tanks in that district. After filling all these tanks, the remaining excess water is finally discharged into the Palk Strait near Ramanathapuram. Next we will see about the river Tamarabarni. The name Tamarabarni is explained as Tamiram, which means copper, and Varni, which means streams of river. This river, Tamarabarni, gives a copper-like appearance because of the presence of dissolved suspended red soil. Because the red soil is dissolved in the river, the water of this river gives a copper-like appearance. This river originates from a peak in Podigai Hills. The other name of the Podigai Hills is Agastya Malai. So this river originates in a peak in Agastya Malai, which is in the Western Ghats above Pabanasam in Ambasamudram Taluk. The origin of the river is associated with sage Agastya. There is a story or history about this river, that is about the formation and origin of this river, which is linked with the sage Agastya Munivar. This river flows through the districts of Tirunelveli and Thoothukudi, and finally it ends in Bay of Bengal near Punnaikayal in Thoothukudi districts. The river Tamarabarni, after flowing through the districts of Tirunelveli and Thoothukudi, it finally ends in Bay of Bengal in a place called Punnaikayal in Thoothukudi district. Karayar, Servalar, Manimuttar, Gandhanadi, Pachayar, Chittar and Ramanadi are its main tributaries. In this tabular column, you can find the major waterfalls found in Tamil Nadu. The name of the waterfalls and the districts in which they are located are given. In your Tamil Nadu physical map, try to locate these places, that is the waterfalls. Under the physiographic divisions of Tamil Nadu, the next topic we are going to see is about the climatic conditions in Tamil Nadu and also about the seasonal changes and what are the reasons that lead to the formation of different seasons in Tamil Nadu. So these are the topics that we are going to cover in this class. Climate in Tamil Nadu. First, we have to understand the basic concepts which causes the change in climatic conditions in Tamil Nadu. We all know that equator divides the earth into two equal halves. The region above the equator is called as the northern hemisphere and the region below the equator is called as the southern hemisphere. As you can see in the picture here, India lies above the equator, so it is in northern hemisphere. And next to the equator, that is above the equator, you have the Tropic of Cancer. This Tropic of Cancer divides India roughly into two equal parts. Tamil Nadu lies to the south of Tropic of Cancer. So that is below the Tropic of Cancer lies the state Tamil Nadu, which is near the equator. We all know that sun's vertical rays directly falls on the equator. So the regions near the equator gets the direct rays from the sun, and this region is very hot. That is, the state is relatively high in temperature throughout the year. The east coast of Tamil Nadu enjoys tropical maritime climate. The coast is the region along the sea. So the east coast of Tamil Nadu enjoys the tropical maritime climate. The Bay of Bengal and Indian Ocean controls the climate of the coastal regions. The annual temperature of the state ranges from 18 degrees to 43 degrees, and the annual rainfall of the state is 958.5 millimeter. While the east coast of Tamil Nadu experiences the tropical maritime climate, the western region of the state enjoys the mountainous climate. Because of the thick forest and high altitude, that is the height, the climate in this region is cool and pleasant. So you can see many hill stations in this region like Blue Mountains, Anamalai, Kodaikanal Hills, etc. Now coming to the central part of Tamil Nadu. On the east it experiences the tropical maritime climate. On the western part of Tamil Nadu it experiences the mountainous climate. In the central part of Tamil Nadu, the temperature is high and dry because it is low in altitude and it is far away from the sea. So it experiences high temperature and dry conditions. Next we will see what are the reasons that causes the change in season or climatic conditions. We all know that Earth rotates and revolves, and the Earth's axis is tilted to an angle of 23.5 degrees. This tilt of the Earth's axis and also the migration of the vertical rays, sun's rays, leads to the formation of different seasons in Tamil Nadu. There are 4 main seasons in Tamil Nadu: winter season, summer season, southwest monsoon and northeast monsoon. We will see about these seasons in detail. In the diagram below, you can see the Earth's axis is tilted at an angle of 23.5 degrees. This tilt of the Earth's axis causes the change in climate. We also know that Earth revolves around the Sun. The tilt angle remains the same, and with that angle it revolves around the Sun. The Earth also rotates on its axis. This rotation of the Earth causes the day and night. Now, in this diagram, on the left hand side, you can see the Sun's vertical rays falls below the equator, that is in the region of Tropic of Capricorn. So, the region above the equator experiences the slanting sun rays. So therefore, Tamil Nadu and whole of India enjoys the winter season. On the other side, that is on the right hand side of yours, the vertical rays of the sun directly falls on the northern hemisphere. Tamil Nadu lies below on the south of Tropic of Cancer. The vertical rays of the sun directly falls on the Tropic of Cancer. Tamil Nadu lies on the south of Tropic of Cancer, so therefore the vertical rays directly falls on the state Tamil Nadu. Therefore it experiences a very high temperature. Thus it experiences a summer season. You have to imagine the process that is happening as we study. So, நம்ம study பண்ணும்போது you have to imagine what is happening, how it will happen. Consider if there is no tilt of the Earth's axis. If it is straight, what happens? Only the same region will experience the vertical rays from the sun, and the other regions will experience the slanting sun rays and it will be cool. So there will be no change in climate. And also imagine what happens if there is no rotation and there is no revolution around the sun. With the help of a diagram we saw how this winter season and summer season are caused. Now we will study in detail about winter season. During January and February, the vertical rays of the sun falls between the Tropic of Capricorn and equator. As we saw in the diagram, the vertical rays falls below the equator, that is in the Tropic of Capricorn. So the region above the equator receives the slanting sun rays from the sun. So therefore the weather is cooler in these areas. We know that India lies in the northern hemisphere, that is above the equator, so it receives the slanting sun rays and therefore the weather is cooler during these months. The winter temperature in Tamil Nadu varies from 15 degrees Celsius to 25 degrees Celsius. In hill stations, the winter temperature drops below 5 degrees Celsius occasionally. Summer season. The apparent migration of the sun towards the north during March, April and May results in the reception of vertical sun rays by South India. We know that during the month of March, April and May, the temperature in Tamil Nadu is very high. This is because during these months, the vertical rays of the sun directly falls above the equator, that is in between the equator and Tropic of Cancer. Since Tamil Nadu lies on the south of Tropic of Cancer, it experiences the direct sun rays. Therefore, the temperature is very hot. There is a steady rise in temperature from the equator. The temperature varies from 30 degrees Celsius to more than 40 degrees Celsius. In the month of May, the southern part of the state receives some rainfall, that is the southern districts of the Tamil Nadu receives rainfall from pre-monsoon showers and some parts experiences conventional rainfall, which means since the temperature is very high, the land masses gets heated up and also the water bodies gets heated up. The evaporation takes place in the water bodies. The water evaporates and it raises up and therefore it precipitates and falls down as rain. This is called as the conventional rainfall. Some of the districts in South India, South Tamil Nadu, experiences this conventional rainfall during the summer season. Southwest monsoon. The southwest monsoon starts in the month of June. Kerala is the first state to receive rainfall from the southwest monsoon. We will see it in detail now. After the summer season, the temperature in the North India is very high. The temperature is very high and the pressure is very low. Whereas in the Indian Ocean, the temperature is low and the pressure is very high. We already know that the winds move from high pressure area to low pressure area. Likewise, the winds from the Indian Ocean also starts to move towards the low pressure area. First, they hit the southern tip of the country and they get splitted into two. They get splitted into two branches. The first branch is the Arabian Sea branch and the second one is the Bay of Bengal branch. In this lesson, as we are concentrating on the climatic conditions of Tamil Nadu, we will see in detail about the Arabian Sea branch. The winds of the Arabian Sea branch first they hit the mountain ranges of the Western Ghats. In the map you can find out that the winds of the Indian Ocean get splitted into two. One moves towards the west and other move towards the northeast. The wind that moves towards the west is called as the Arabian Sea branch. First, they hit the mountain ranges of the Western Ghats. As the wind carries a lot of moisture in it, when they hit the mountain ranges of the Western Ghats, they give a heavy rainfall in that region. The region near that Western Ghats is Kerala. So Kerala is the first state to receive rainfall from this southwest monsoon. Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu is located in the rain shadow region for the wind, which blows from the Arabian Sea. That is, Tamil Nadu is located on the other side of the mountain. You can see in the diagram here, the winds hits the mountain ranges of the Western Ghats and gives a heavy rainfall in that region. Tamil Nadu is located on the other side of the mountain, which is called as the rain shadow region. So therefore, it receives a very less amount of rainfall. Rainfall during this season in Tamil Nadu, it decreases from west to east. That is, the west part of the Tamil Nadu receives an average rainfall of 50 to 100 centimeter, whereas the east part of the Tamil Nadu receives a very less amount of rainfall. Coimbatore Plateau receives an average of 50 centimeter rainfall. Southern districts like Kanyakumari, Tirunelveli and the Nilgiris record 50 to 100 centimeter rainfall during this period. The rainfall is scanty, that is very less in the eastern part of the country. Eastern part of Tamil Nadu. Northeast monsoon. The northeast monsoon starts in the month of October. After the southwest monsoon, the northern part of the country, the winds in the northern region loses its moisture content after the heavy rainfall from the southwest monsoon. So therefore, the pressure is very high in that region. The high pressure created over the Central Asia and northern part of India becomes the source for the northeast monsoon winds. It makes the winds to blow towards Bay of Bengal from North India. We know that the winds move from high pressure to low pressure area. There is a high pressure in northern part of the country, so therefore the winds move from that high pressure area to Bay of Bengal. After reaching Bay of Bengal, the winds get deflected by Coriolis effect or Coriolis force, which means this force causes the winds or ocean to deviate from its original path. As you can see in the map here, there is a deviation of the winds towards the eastern side. It blows from north and at a stage it turns towards the east. This is because of the Coriolis effect. So therefore it is known as the northeast monsoon. As the northeast monsoon is a part of returning of the southwest monsoon wind, it is also called as the retreating monsoon. This northeast monsoon is a continuation and return of the southwest monsoon, and so therefore it is also known as the retreating monsoon. The other name of the northeast monsoon is retreating monsoon. During the northeast monsoon season, Tamil Nadu receives 48% of the annual rainfall. Especially the coastal districts of Tamil Nadu, Andhra, and the Union Territory Pondicherry receives nearly 60% of the annual rainfall. The interior districts of these states receives about 40 to 50% of the annual rainfall during this season. The tropical cyclones are common during this season. Nisha Puyal, Gaja Puyal, all these cyclones had occurred during this northeast monsoon season. During this period, and east coastal region receives 100 to 200 centimeter of the rainfall. The rainfall received by the central and northwestern part of the state is about 50 to 100 centimeter. That is, the eastern coastal region of Tamil Nadu receives 100 to 200 centimeter of rainfall. The central and western part of the state receives 50 to 100 centimeter of the rainfall. These cyclones, which are caused by this northeast monsoon, disturbs the cultivation of the crops and cause severe damage to life and property. Coriolis force. As we have seen in the northeast monsoon, it deviates the wind from its original path to move towards east. That's why it was called as the northeast monsoon. We will see the definition. An apparent force acts as a result of the Earth's rotation, deflects moving objects to move towards right in the northern hemisphere and to left in the southern hemisphere. That is, this force is created because of the Earth's rotation, and it causes the moving objects such as the ocean currents or the air currents to deviate from its original path. If it is in the northern hemisphere, because of this force, the moving objects gets deviated to the right. On the other side, if it is in the southern hemisphere, it causes the moving objects to move towards left. Under the physiographic divisions, next we are going to see about the soils of Tamil Nadu. There are 5 main types of soils in Tamil Nadu. We will see about each type of soil in detail. And we will see about the importance of the soil and the formation of the soil. And also ways of protecting this non-renewable resource. Soil. First we will see about the formation of soil. How the soil is formed. Soil is the loose material mainly formed by the weathering and erosion of rocks. Weathering is the process of breaking up of rocks into smaller pieces, and erosion is the process of transporting these rocks and minerals to various regions. Soil is considered as a non-renewable resource, which means its loss cannot be recovered during a human lifespan, since it takes 500 years or more for an inch of topsoil to form. It takes more than 500 years to form 2 inches of soil. Then consider how precious the soil is. Importance of soil. Soil is an important element of agriculture. Without the soil, we cannot grow crops. It provides essential minerals and nutrients for the growth of vegetation. Soil is one of the important non-renewable resources in the world. Non-renewable means it cannot be immediately replaced. Types of soil. The soil of a place depends on the factors like climate, parent rock, and vegetative cover of the respective places. The soils in Tamil Nadu are broadly classified into 5 types according to their characteristics. They are alluvial soil, black soil, red soil, laterite soil, and saline soils. We will see about each type in detail. Alluvial soil. First we will see about the formation of these alluvial soil. The alluvial soils are formed by the deposition of silt by the rivers. Silt is the smaller pieces of rocks. They are eroded by the rivers, that is transported by the rivers from various regions, and they deposit it in the banks of the rivers. This is how the alluvial soils are formed. Minerals. Alluvial soils are generally fertile as they are rich in minerals such as lime, potassium, magnesium, nitrogen, and phosphoric acid. These soils are deficient in nitrogen and humus. That is, they have very less content of nitrogen and humus. Humus is the organic matter in the soil. It is porous and loamy. Porous means it contains a lot of minute holes or pores which allows air or water to pass through it. And loamy is the mixture of various particles in various size. Crops cultivated. Some of the important crops cultivated in this type of soil are paddy, sugarcane, banana, and turmeric. These type of soil are found in the coastal plains of Tamil Nadu, Tanjavur, Thiruvarur, Nagapattinam, Viluppuram, Kadalur, Tirunelveli, and Kanyakumari. They are also found in small extent along the river valleys in few interior districts. Black soil. Black soil is also known as Reger soil. Black soils are formed by the weathering of igneous rocks. Igneous is a type of rock, and when these rocks disintegrate, it forms a black soil. These black soil are also developed over the Deccan lava granite region under semi-arid condition. Semi-arid is the semi-dry condition. The texture of the soil is fine and clayey in nature. The minerals found in the soil are calcium, magnesium, carbonates, potash, and lime. The black soil are poor in phosphoric acid, nitrogen, and organic matter. The crops cultivated in this black soil are cotton, corn, kambu, and fodder. Fodder is the crop that is used to feed the cattle. Kambu is a millet. As cotton grows well in the soil, it is also called as black cotton soil. These black soil are found extensively in the districts of Coimbatore, Madurai, Virudhunagar, Tirunelveli, and Thoothukudi. Red soil. Red soil is called as Semman in Tamil. First we will see the characteristics of the red soil. Red soil covers over two-thirds of the total area of the Tamil Nadu. That is, it occupies more than half of the total area in Tamil Nadu. So this soil is very common in Tamil Nadu state. This soil is sandy and loamy in texture. The texture of the soil is sandy and loamy. Loamy means it is a combination of clay, silt and sand. The characteristic feature of the soil vary according to its formation and climatic condition under which the soil was formed. That is, the quality of the soil depends on the climatic condition and also how the soil was formed. Red soil is porous, that is, it has many pores for the passage of air and water. It is friable and it can be easily crumbled or broken into minute particles and non-retentive of moisture. It cannot hold the moisture for a long time. ஈரப்பதத்தை ரொம்ப நேரம் தக்க வைக்க முடியாது. The color of the soil is due to the presence of high content of iron oxide. It got its color because of the content of iron oxide. Red soil is deficient in nitrogen, phosphorus, acids and humus. The crops cultivated in the soil are paddy, ragi, tobacco and vegetables. Almost all type of crops can be grown in the soil with the application of manure and irrigation facilities. Manure and the uram. If there is a proper supply of manure and proper water supply, any type of crops can be grown in the soil. Availability. This soil is found particularly in the central districts of the state. It is dominantly found in Sivagangai and Ramanathapuram districts. So in the central districts of the state, you can find the red soil, especially in the state of Sivagangai and Ramanathapuram districts. It is very common. Laterite soil. The laterite soil is formed by the process of intense leaching. That is, the laterite soil is developed in the areas with high temperature and heavy rain. Because of the heavy rain, the soil loses its water soluble nutrients along with the water, and due to high temperature, it loses its humus content, that is the organic matters. The process of losing its water soluble nutrients along with the water is called as leaching. Laterite soils are found in the parts of Kanchipuram, Tiruvallur, Tanjavur and some patches over the mountainous region in the Nilgiris. The crops grown in the soil are paddy, ginger, pepper and plantains. It is also suitable for cultivation of tea and coffee plants. Saline soil. Saline soils in Tamil Nadu are found in the Coromandel coast. Coromandel coast is the southeastern coastal region. That is the region along the sea. Vedaranyam has a pocket of saline soil. That is, Vedaranyam is completely filled with saline soil. However, the tsunami waves on December 26, 2004 brought a lot of sand and deposited it all along the east coast of Tamil Nadu. The tsunami made the coastal areas unsuitable for cultivation to a considerable extent. That is, the tsunami waves, it brought a lot of sand along with it, and deposited in the east coast of Tamil Nadu, and thus causing the coastal areas unsuitable for cultivation. Soil erosion. Soil erosion is a gradual process of movement and transport of the upper layer of the soil. Soil erosion reduces the fertility of the soil, which in turn reduces the agricultural productivity. Soil is a non-renewable resource. That is, the soil, when eroded, it cannot be replaced immediately. It needs about more than 300 years to obtain a 2-inch of soil. So therefore the soil is very precious, and we have to take intensive care to conserve the soil resources. The soil, once eroded, is very difficult to replace. The reasons for soil erosion is overgrazing, deforestation, urbanization, and heavy rainfall. Urbanization means it is the change of our lifestyle to city culture. That is destruction of the farming lands to residential or commercial buildings. Desertification. The desertification is one of the major problem of Tamil Nadu. The desertification is the process by which fertile land becomes a desert. Factors that cause desertification include urbanization, climate change, overuse of groundwater, deforestation, natural disasters, and overgrazing. About 12% of the total geographical area is under desertification and land degradation. Theni, Nilgiris, Kanyakumari are the worst affected districts because of this desertification. About 12,000 hectares were affected by the sand deposition in Theni and Rajapalayam. We know that the sands in the desert are not suitable for cultivation. These type of sand are deposited in the regions of Theni and Rajapalayam for about 12,000 hectares. So it affects the cultivation in large extent.